This podcast is part of the Game and Entertainment Network. Visit tgenetwork.net to find the latest episodes from all our shows.
It's time for AggroChat, the official podcast of the Tales of the Aggronaut blog and stalwart gaming community, where we talk about stuff and things, and the stuff about the things, and sometimes gaming. I'm Belgast, and let's start the show. Hey folks, it's that time again, time for another episode of AggroChat. This is episode 159. Tonight I'm joined by Ashgar.
Hello.
Grace.
Hello.
Kodra.
Howdy.
And Thalen.
Hey there.
Grace, it is super good to have you back.
It is super good to be back. I had an injury that prevented me being here, and now it is healed enough that I can be here, and I am really glad.
So, prior to the show, Thalen, you were talking a little bit about a weird transition you went through in Destiny.
Yes, certainly the entire game got a personality implant. And I finally understand why people, give a shit about Cade 6. Because instead of being a robot that occasionally has a single voice line that's voiced by Nathan Fillion, but you can hardly tell, he's robot Nathan Fillion.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's bad enough that... So one of the friends that I started playing Destiny with, he watched the trailer for Destiny 2, and afterwards he was like, wow, they got Nathan Fillion and Lance Reddick, and it's really cool. And we're like, they're in the first game. He's like, really? And he went and he's like, oh, wow, that is them. Can't really tell.
Then Taken King happens, and oh yeah, you could totally tell.
Yeah, and all of a sudden, these recognizable voice actors that they got are actually getting used.
Well, and the funny thing about
huge difference.
The funny thing about Cade 6 is he's become basically the poster child of the game, because there's so many side quests that could have been done by anybody, but they ended up having Nathan Fillion do them.
Yeah, basically instead of your ghost talking to you, it's Nathan Fillion talking to you a lot of the time.
I am definitely okay with this.
Yeah. But yeah, I played through the base, story in Destiny. I was like, okay, I'm shooting things because darkness bad, and okay, I guess I blew up some robots and defeated the blob god, and that's a thing. But I didn't really know or care what the hell was going on. And the Taken King actually has a story that makes sense and I actually care about. And it's amazing, how much of a difference that makes.
Yeah, I think I sort of lucked out that I rushed through a lot when I started playing, and so I got to the Taken King stuff very quickly, mostly because Belle dragged me through everything I needed to do.
Yep.
And seeing other people's reactions to it and hearing about people's experience playing before, especially before any of the expansion content, but Taken King in particular, it's I'm kind of not sad that I missed out on that for many reasons.
Yeah, same here.
And it's just weird because, from what I understand, that was the intent for the game as a whole, and then at the very last minute, they reworked everything to not be that way.
Yeah, they pulled the story out and just removed it all and dumped it into the Grimoire cards, which I'm not sure what the reasoning behind that was. It's very strange.
Well, I don't know,
Call of Duty in September 2014.
Yeah, probably.
Well, so from what I had heard is that they were trying to go for a Dark Soulsy type feel, where it's an incomprehensible world and you have to, do silly things to understand the world, but
oh man.
All
boy.
that is in a game.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Dark Souls, don't be coming here with that. Dark Souls has way more of a plot than that game does. Way more. Yes, none of the characters are spouting exposition at you, but if you sit down and talk to them, you can start to get a measure of them, and through the characters of the game, you can get an idea of what's going on. But all of the storytelling is environmental and in the game, and I would argue that it doesn't do a good job at telling a story through the environment or through its characters.
What, Destiny?
Destiny, yeah.
I don't necessarily agree on the environmental storytelling aspect, because like there's a lot of interesting areas that have story that you want, or at least I wanted to learn about, like the Dreadnought. Like there's so much shit going on in the Dreadnought, it's silly. And like especially the raids, but you know, if you've never seen the raids, then like I don't know, they pulled out a WoW-like statistic of how few people actually have seen any of their raid content. And it's pretty...
It has no matchmaking and is the most hardcore content in the game.
Yes. And also... Yeah. But it was one of those statements, kind of like the Naxxramas thing of, what, like, I think 3% of the WoW population had actually seen Nax at the end of vanilla.
Sounds about right.
I think that's the figure I had heard. And it's probably like 30% of the player base has done raid content, which is still probably fairly low considering how important some of that raid content is.
Yeah, I am definitely a fan of games that make their story accessible whether you raid or not. And whether that means being able to go into a solo version of the raid instance and see the story happen, or just making sure that the main plot points don't happen in there, or giving some other access to the atmosphere of what happens in the raid. Like, not everyone raids in MMOs, and I mean, I used to be a hardcore raider, and you know, there's a time where I would have said, you know, oh no, everyone should have to do this if they want to see it, but no, you should not have to jump through that hoop, especially if if there's something like LFR in WoW where you can queue up with random strangers and face roll it to see it, like that's acceptable. But if you actually have to put together a group without any kind of matchmaking, and it's actually difficult content, then major pieces of the plot and story just should not happen there, or should be accessible in some other way in addition to that.
Yeah, that was one of the things I really dug in Rift, is when they put in Intrepid Adventures, which are functionally instant adventures, but they tell you the storyline that happened in the various raids. So you could pop in and like see all the raid content and see all the exposition for the bosses that, you know, was kind of hinted at in the zones, but not actually, you know, gotten into deeply. And I like doing that in LFR as well. Like, I feel like even if I didn't have a real raid, I would still be doing the LFR just to see the story bits that happen there.
I mean, that's sort of what Final Fantasy decided to do, with implementing the normal and savage versions of their raid content. Because Binding Coil was the hardcore raid when it came out.
Right,
and I imagine they had a similar thing to where, like, a very small percentage of the population had actually seen the storyline.
Yep, and there's some really important story shit that takes place there.
Yeah. This is kind of a divergent topic that, like, we didn't put on the sheet, but I'm really interested to see what happens in Stormblood.
Like,
because,
as far as the story?
Well, no, not necessarily the story. Like, I mean, the story is going to be on point, like it usually is. But so they definitely felt like they made some adjustments between Heavensward and, A Realm Reborn and Heavensward. And I'm wondering what lessons they have taken away from Heavensward for Stormblood. I mean, obviously, we're getting severe changes in each of the classes, but I'm more concerned about, well, not necessarily concerned, that's the wrong word, but I'm wondering what the world is going to be like, what, you know, Beast Tribe questing is going to feel like, you know, what the dungeons are going to feel like
what the 8-person and 24-person rating is going to feel like.
Exactly. Like, what is it actually going to be like? Because, I mean, they made a lot of changes in Heavensward in the way a lot of that felt. And I'm wondering what tweaks they took away from Heavensward going into the design of this content. Because, I mean, I seriously doubt it's going to be just status quo. Like, they're going to have changed some stuff.
How much do we know about, like, what's going on with the classes still?
We have, as far as we know, everything.
Like, so with the Dragoon, I've seen that, hey, I'm getting 2 bars now, but I don't know what those bars do.
One of them is your Blood of the Dragon timer. The other one counts, like, Eyes of the Dragon or something.
Was it Thursday or Friday? Was it Thursday or Friday that the embargo dropped on a lot of this stuff?
I think the embargo dropped on Thursday.
Yeah, it's like tail end of this week. All of a sudden, there's way more information available.
I should see if there's a Dragoon list of changes.
Yes.
It seems like for the most part that Warrior is going to be one of the least changed classes.
It's going to be a little different, I think.
Well, it's no longer build it up and then dump it all down. It's like incremental dumps.
The difference is you can basically build 10 stacks instead of 5.
I'm okay with this. I want to cleave all day long. Look, I've seen absolutely nothing that makes me think I'm going to shy away from Warrior as a main in this expansion.
I see that I get goad. We already knew that.
Yeah, all the melee DPS do.
So I can just yell at melee DPS now to goad me.
Oh, they got rid of phlebotomize. That's probably okay. Did they?
That one dots went away for, well, actually everyone. I was going to say everyone except Summoner, but no, everyone.
Womp womp.
Monks lost Touch of Death.
Gear Skuggle no longer takes time off of the Blood of the Dragon timer. So I guess I just use that when I'm in Blood of the Dragon.
Yes,
on cooldown.
It gives you charges for your new ability thingy. Mirage Dive or something?
Well, so Mirage Dive, yeah, it's an off GCD ability. Again, it looks like I am not getting, like, it looks like what they want Dragoons to be is the off GCD class, which I have already figured out how to do it, whatever. I'll continue figuring out how to do these new off GCD things.
So many buttons. Hit all the buttons.
Yeah, like, I thought the thing was I was getting away from button bloat. It does not seem like I am getting away from button bloat.
Yeah, I feel like that initial goal didn't really pan out for anyone.
Well,
what I think at least happened is that you will probably not have more buttons than you did last expansion. So that is in itself
stripped away a lot of buttons that they stripped away buttons that you already don't use also. So that didn't really help in terms of, reducing button bloat.
Well, and so for Warrior, they made it so that the stances actually matter and that, I have conditional buttons just like I made with macros.
So I lost 3 abilities. Did they collapse combos, or are combos still 3 separate abilities?
Combos are still separate abilities, unless you're in PvP.
What? So wait, they have the tech to do it in PvP, is what you're telling me?
Yes, that is exactly what I'm telling you. But I don't know why they did that either.
So it's because they don't want to.
That's really annoying to me, because just being able to, hit a single button 3 times in a row would be just so much better. So much better.
Apparently, for some reason, they think that's something they want to do.
So I'm looking at it, and it does not look like I'm really going to... It looks like I'm adding buttons still, which boggles my mind. Oh well.
It's probably going to be slightly less true, because you lost some cooldowns as well, I think.
I lost Power Surge. Oh, I might have lost,
You also lost Internal Release.
I lost Internal Release. But did I gain anything here?
No, not in the way of damage increasing cooldowns.
Okay. And it's not like I'm ever going to cast Goad.
Oh. I would really love it if occasionally you cast Goad.
No, that button doesn't need to be on the bar.
I'm sure you would.
Totally unnecessary.
I mean, I'm not ever going to get TP Song. I mean, come on. At least give me Goad.
Doesn't TP Song...
Because guess what went away?
I was about to say, did Mana Song go away?
They became cross classes for the...
Wait, bards can play songs?
Oh, Bard and Machinist both get those?
Yes.
Machinists sing now? Okay.
They sing around and sea shanty
now, so...
Alright, so Goad is off GCD.
Yes.
You might get goad.
Yay! I might get a thing.
Well, wait, probably not, because won't I have to retarget him? Hard.
Yes.
See,
Yeah,
you focus
I
your
don't know.
tank, and then you set your goad macro up to be focus cast. That's how that works.
No,
I have
you
to
need
write
to
a
focus
macro?
the boss. You need
That
to
sounds
focus
like-
the boss so that you can get out of shit so that I don't have to heal you. 'Cause I'm
Damn it.
lazy.
I just want
Well,
somebody to improve my
don't-
TP state.
Goad macros sound like too much work.
I was about to say, I am always targeting the boss. I don't need to be focusing the boss. Well, unless it's Twintania, and then yes, I need to be focusing the boss.
Why do you guys hate me?
Because I only get 5 cross classes. Although, honestly, for melee, I don't know what else you take, other than the obvious of Invigorate and probably a stun. And, I guess we'll figure out what else from there.
I like that I went from, like...
Yeah, that's another thing. Leg Sweep doesn't do damage anymore, so stop pressing it so much.
What? What? That's going off into the middle of nowhere. Leg Sweep no longer does damage?
None of the stuns do damage. So that,
Womp.
maybe your tank likes to stun important things. Your mob won't be stunning you by the time important things happen.
All
Cough.
I'm hearing is
Cough.
Probably a good
that...
idea.
Cough.
All I'm hearing is Dragoons are getting nerfed so that tanks can have a better quality of life.
I am down with that.
Okay. If that's what you're hearing, then sure.
I mean,
But
Maybe-
other things
maybe-
don't do damage either. Like that white mage knockback, machinist knockback, those don't do damage anymore. Bard silence doesn't do damage anymore.
Yeah, I mean,
They decided maybe CC abilities should be, for CC.
I mean, that's fair. Doesn't mean I like it, but it's fair. This might end up reducing the number of buttons I press. I also noticed that they got rid of Ring of Thorns, which I had already gotten rid of, so...
I'm a little unsure why they got rid of Ring of Thorns and not Doomspike, but sure, whatever.
Doomspike is the right answer. Why would they get rid of Doomspike?
They could have adjusted the damage that one or both of those things did.
Oh, that's fair. Doomspike's more annoying to use, so...
yeah. I would have rather them given Ring of Thorns Doomspike's damage.
Yeah, me too.
Because
I don't
one
think they want
is
to
stand
be-
in the middle of things, and one is, oh my god, have to run and try and line them up.
I'm getting the impression they didn't want to do nice things for Dragoons this time around.
No, you guys had your expansion last. I mean, the Mary Sue guy was even a Dragoon that time.
Oh, I know.
somebody else's turn to be the favorite child.
Yeah.
Except for I don't think Monks got
My
much
time
love.
is now.
Did monks get good changes?
No.
Oh.
Monk's got, hey, you're pretty good. Let's take your blunt resistance down and make it a physical resistance down. So, utility, something. So there's that. There's also a cooldown that causes your party members' weapon skills to generate charges of Forbidden Chopper for you. So that's a thing too. Monk's changes in Heaven's Ward were basically, hey, this class is almost great. And then Heaven's Ward added just enough to push it over the edge.
I'm all about
So you do it down.
Stormblood because I finally get a charge as a warrior.
Oh no.
Yup. You now know what your life is going to be like.
But I don't think you can start battle with it.
I think
because it
only if
costs
you
gauge.
can't you. Isn't there still an ability for warriors that you can get gauge with?
Yeah, Infuriate still exists.
Yeah, so you could infuriate charge.
Man.
Paladins still don't have a charge.
Actually, I'm sorry, Bill. One of my abilities gives target party member plus 5% damage, so they're going to be my focus.
Sigh.
They'll probably also get my goad.
Why do you hate me? I thought we were friends. A long time ago, we used to be friends. But yeah,
I'm
back
really
to.
excited about Paladin changes, even though we have drifted way off topic.
I love
What
the
are
fact that
paladin
they.
changes?
Paladins get an actual AoE in the 40s, so,
That does damage?
we have something that does damage to more than one enemy.
Blasphemy.
Yeah, inconceivable.
And they flipped the placement of shield and sword oath so that
They did
paladins
better
are.
than flip them. Shield Oath is at 30. Sword Oath is at 35, and Cover, which used to be at 35, is at 40. So you get your abilities in the order that makes sense now.
So paladin tanks might actually be
Huzzah.
using the correct oath now.
No, that's not going to happen.
Although their job gauge shows what oath they're in really, really clearly.
And luckily,
So if they're using
they
the wrong
didn't
oath,
use
they
it.
know it.
Yes, and they didn't use that as an excuse to take that off of the buffs that appear in the party list, so that we
So
can
your
still
party
see
can still
and
yell at
judge.
you.
Yes.
But I mean, it's going to be nice in that paladins can level and not be at a severe disadvantage to the other tanks until 40.
Yeah, it's also really nice for whenever you get synced down, because that still happens as long as leveling roulette continues to exist. The change I'm going to be really happy about.
What do you think is going to happen to leveling roulette now that there's going to be, you can buy a potion and skip all of that, like all of the leveling content? Do you think it'll put any kind of dent?
Expensive.
Yeah, that's my suspicion, but
I mean, like, they're really prohibitively expensive. But I mean, then again, boosts in other games are too, so.
Well, they're also limiting it to 1 per account until 4.1, so Palace of the Dead will continue to exist, the leveling roulette will continue to exist.
I'm all about expanded Palace of the Dead.
You also can't use them on the new classes, which I'd forgotten about. So, yeah, we're going to be seeing a lot of Palace of the Dead the first few weeks of the expansion.
So many samurais.
I don't think it's the samurais.
Well, I mean, like, okay, both of these classes are pretty big fetish classes for a specific type of player. Like, there's lots of people that have wanted samurai, myself included, from day one. I mean, like, it will probably be my DPS character from now on, but, I'm not switching to maining it. But I will absolutely be probably starting a samurai the second I finish leveling my warrior. I kind of wish that they had put, like, at least one of them in pre-expansion, kind of like they did with Thief during A Realm Reborn.
That wasn't really part of the expansion.
Well, I know, but, like, it would have given people stuff to focus on in this time pre-expansion.
They should have just stuck the mage in as, like, a surprise class.
That would have been amazing. I would have supported this. That would, like, I kind of feel like that, in order to do that correctly, that would have to have a different leveling path than the other classes. Like, in that, you really need to go do the madness of trying to get stuff to cast on you.
I feel like since you get a number of abilities through your job quest anyway, it's not hard to fit that in. Like, it wouldn't be hard to have the level 35 quest to be just go, hey, here's some Marlboros.
Go learn Bad Breath.
Go get breathed on. So, when does the official Head Start start? It's like Friday the 16th? Something like that? Yeah, my gameplay is going to be really fractured. Like, I'll be able to play Friday, and then I'll be able to play Sunday night and Monday and Tuesday.
Yeah, we'll see how much I get to play this one. I'm hoping to get a decent amount of time.
It all depends on the Rugrat, I would imagine.
Absolutely.
Small humans require attention.
Yes. Tiny, almost mobile.
Yeah.
or working on getting mobile.
Working on getting mobile is the answer.
I mean, it's already mobile. It's getting motile.
There you go.
That's when they're dangerous.
Well, like, the positive is that, like, even if you get knocked for a loop, during the launch, Final Fantasy is traditionally decent about letting people catch up. And, I mean, that's been one of the things I liked about it, that they usually put in catch-up mechanics.
Yeah.
And we're also sort of known for running lots of stuff for people just because they need it.
It's true, and that's very exciting.
Honestly, like, one of the things I've been wondering about is just how many people are going to be coming back for the expansion. Because, like, round about the launch of Heavensward, there were lots of nights we had, 30 or so people on.
Yeah, I mean, I'm hoping we have a good bounce back of people playing. I know I'm looking forward to getting some games in. I mean, I love the new dungeons in these games. The new dungeon map that they spoiled looks pretty sweet.
Maybe I missed something.
There was a dungeon run that got released to the internet. Like the first 10 minutes of one. It was like a underwater, very Sestasha-esque looking place.
I think the underwater zone looks pretty cool so far.
Yeah, I'm super excited about that.
I am somewhat skeptical. I have not really ever enjoyed the underwater zones in MMOs. So, granted, the only one I can think of was the one from
Vashir from Cataclysm.
Yeah, I was gonna say, was it Cataclysm?
Yep.
I think I'm one of the few people that liked Vashir.
Yeah, I liked it once you get past the goofy parts at the beginning. But when you get to the actual story of the zone, I actually like it a lot.
Well, it had, like, really horrible gating for that first area.
Yeah.
Because it seems like a more natural segue point than if we go away from this and then come back. I'm I've been doing some silly stuff in World of Warcraft, and I mostly blame Grace.
I take no responsibility for your terrible actions just because I'm also engaging in these terrible activities.
Yeah, so like most of Grace's horde characters are on another server that like is a low pop server, and I didn't have any characters over there, so I decided to use one of my boosts that I have, and I created a Death Knight because I really haven't spent that much time playing my Death Knight. And over the last week or so, I have leveled, and then I think I'm like 860-ish, like 864 or so item level on my Death Knight already in just a couple days' time. Because I think I dinged, Friday? Thursday? Something like that?
Something like that.
And, yeah, so, like, I've been doing all of the stuff, and it's shockingly reasonable catching a brand new character up. I mean, and I say somewhat reasonable because, I mean, I'm me, and my proclivity for grinding is higher than most people, but it seemed like it was really easy to get geared.
No, I think, like, I have now leveled, I think the scientific term is a metric crap ton of alts in this expansion, and it does a surprisingly good job of letting you get geared. What it doesn't do a good job of is letting you level your crafting professions. But, like, the gear catch-up is almost instantaneous. Like, I'm definitely geared enough to be running heroics and queuing for LFR half the time before I have finished my class hall quest and even finished unlocking, like, the full ability to put relics in your artifact weapon.
Well, yeah, like, I was absolutely running the highest LFR before I finished my order haul. I find it weird how relatively easy it's been to catch up on the artifacts, because I thought that was going to be the worst part of alts, but they put an item in that's really cheap that you can buy on whatever your main is that basically gives, 30 artifact knowledge in a single hit to your alts.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on what your main's artifact knowledge is, right? So it takes whatever your main's highest is, and I think subtracts 5. And so, depending on how far along you've got in your main, you can start your alts off. At least my highest has been 30. And starting at artifact knowledge 30 means you basically eat one drop and you have filled up the entire weapon up to the point of when the Broken Shore content released.
Yeah, and like, because of this, I have 2 full weapons that are already upgraded to Broken Shore levels.
And the Legion invasions are also really nice for that. Like, they give pretty good gear rewards, and they also reward the currency that lets you buy more gear from the vendor.
The invasions that happened before Legion launched.
Yeah, but now they happen in the Legion zones.
And they're way more detailed. Like,
It's like a series of, you do 4 world quests in the zone that are specific to the invasion, so killing invasion bosses or doing other stuff that pops up. And then generally there's like 1 or 2 other little quests to do around the zone, and then it unlocks the scenario with like a mini boss at the end that gives pretty decent loot.
And I've gotten 880 items off of them before.
Yep.
Like, on my brand new Death Knight, I got an 880 pair of bracers, I think.
The other thing that's extremely noticeable since I've returned to the game is the drop rates for legendaries have been drastically altered. Of all the alts that I have laying around, I think all but, like, except for the very newest one that just finished leveling, I think all but 1 have gotten a legendary drop, and some of them have more than 1.
I have yet to see a legendary, but like, I'm sure it's gonna happen sooner or later.
I don't want to hear it from you.
I know.
You don't get to complain.
I can't. Like, I don't get to complain since, like, my main has 5 legendaries. So like I totally get that.
But yeah, I was very surprised. Like, I knew that they had upped the rate, and so I was pleasantly surprised to see that, it didn't take very long for most of my alts to find one. And especially, I feel like the chests from the Broken Shore faction have been my number one source of them, but I was extremely pleasantly surprised when I was on my paladin the other night and a second one dropped.
And people keep telling me that they're spec specific, not character specific, but
I don't buy that because I switched specs on my old Alliance main monk and have been questing as Windwalker for like 2 months and have yet to get a legendary for her for that spec. So maybe it's better, but it does not feel like it was reset, considering like all of my alts have gotten one within a week or so.
Yeah.
Either that or I'm cursed. I don't know. Seems like a reasonable possibility.
Seems likely.
The other nice thing about the Legion invasions has been that, normal world quests don't unlock until you're max level, but the invasion quests do unlock. And so you can run those on your alts, and the rewards that they give are restricted to basically XP or
nether shards,
artifact power. At max level you can get decent gear from these and some other things. When you're leveling, they're mostly XP or resources or AP, but it's a lot more than you could get from normal questing. Like, the artifacts power items are enough to give you several ranks, so you can actually progress your weapon a little further even while leveling now than you used to be able to. And the XP is so good that you can level very quickly, which I appreciate when I'm working on my 14th alt.
Yeah, I think when I dinged 110, I had level 14 on my artifact, which is way more than I ever did when we initially leveled.
So yeah, once again, the process of leveling in WoW right now, and the process of playing WoW right now, has been really enjoyable as long as I just pretend like professions don't exist.
It very much feels like the end of an expansion, but
also pretending that raids don't exist.
Well, yeah, there's also that.
I feel like you also sort of described how I approach Final Fantasy XIV. I definitely don't like to pretend that professions don't exist in that game.
So I really wonder, with the loss of cross-class abilities for normal classes, if they're going to ditch them for those classes. And if it does, that will make professions in FF14 much more reasonable.
Yeah, if they take the things that you have to have and just make them either unnecessary or available for all of them without having to level up those extra classes. That would be nice. I'm sure that would make Tam happy.
Make me pretty happy too.
If that's the case, the fact that I've been leveling carpentry is suddenly less important. Okay, so I don't really have a great segue for this one. Kodra, before we start recording, you said you had been playing some Elder Scrolls Legends.
Well, the game released, right? A couple days ago.
Oh, it did? Okay.
Yes, it did.
So I figured I like playing card games. I would check this game out and see how it goes. See how it compares to other card games I play. I think this is a much better game than Hearthstone.
Interesting.
But considering you don't really like Hearthstone...
That's accurate. So I do think that the game allows for a little bit more strategy than Hearthstone. Like, the fact that you have 2 lanes that you have to manage makes it possible to hide some characters from your opponent's overwhelming force and to get back into the game. It also has a interesting catch-up mechanic. Every 5 points of damage you take, you draw a card. And certain cards that you draw that way, you can cast immediately for free. So that might be an interesting opportunity. Also, going second gives you +1 mana on 3 turns rather than just 1. But, I don't know. the game seems pretty solid. But I also have been playing a lot of Magic, which is really interactive. I don't. Granted, I'm playing Magic against humans, and I'm playing this against AIs. But I mostly feel like this game is less engaging and less interesting to me than Magic.
So what's the actual rundown of a game?
The actual rundown of a game is like it's just like Hearthstone. Both sides have 30 health. You're playing creatures to the board, and then on your next turn, you can start attacking them. You can attack your opponent's creatures, or you can attack their life total. There aren't any like character specific things, like there's no abilities that you use. Every turn you gain one more mana. The difference with this game is there are like deck archetypes. You can play. There are colors like the color wheel in Magic, and you can play multicolored decks. So whereas in Hearthstone you are only ever playing with your class cards, here you can play like a red-blue deck or a red-yellow deck or a red-green deck and have access to 2 different pools of cards to put your decks together, which I think is going to do a good job at allowing for a lot of different types of... effectively it gives you 25 classes.
Well, that's cool, because like one of the problems I have with Hearthstone is that every class seems really pigeonholed into doing a specific thing.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas like in traditional Magic, you can mix things up, and like if you like this aspect of blue and you like this aspect of green, you can mash them together and make something that feels good to you. Whereas like if you play a hunter in Hearthstone, you're kind of always doing, really aggro creatures and some traps.
Yeah, no, there's definitely a lot of interesting things going on here. And it's got a cool story mode, I guess. That's what I've been mostly playing through.
I never got around to downloading it, but like I kind of want to, just to see what it's like.
It's on Steam now.
Yeah, it's on Steam. You can download it and play it.
Yeah, I'll probably give it a try.
So, another game that I know I've been playing a little bit of, and that Grace wanted to talk about, Magikarp Jump.
Oh man. So, like, after the death of Justice Monsters 5, I had a giant hole in my heart and in my mobile gaming inventory, right? Like, I spent so much time playing that game, and then for a while I just kind of didn't play games on my phone very much, and I had been searching for something to fill the void, and I think Magikarp Jump is gonna do it for at least a little while. They're very different games, to be sure, but if you remember the craze of Survive Mola Mola, the game where you raise a fish so that it can die in increasingly bizarre and silly, horrible ways, this is the spiritual successor to that game, and it is incredible. I'd say it's a Pokemon, well, a Magikarp reskinned version of Survive Mola Mola, but it's actually, it has slightly more game to it. Not a huge amount, but there's definitely more gamey-ness to it. And sadly, at least so far, your Magikarp doesn't die in a lot of horrible ways. So in that sense, it's a little different, although certainly random things can and do happen to your Magikarp, and sometimes your Magikarp will die, but it's not quite the constant thing that it was in Survive Mola Mola.
Oh look, a random Pidgey who's carried your Magikarp off.
Yeah. But no, it's adorable and funny, and I don't know, it's not exactly a challenging game, but it is definitely very fun. It's entertaining and silly and worth taking a look at. Plus you get to like raise different Magikarp with different pre-patterns and things, and then the battling in the game is hilarious because instead of actual battling, you just go into an arena with your opponent's Magikarp and see which one can jump the highest, because that's all they can really do. It's adorable.
And like the thing that I haven't quite figured out is there actual gameplay in the little mini training games, or is it just totally random what score you get on those things?
I think it's random, and I think it's just you can get a good job, a great job, or an amazing job. And as far as I can tell, nothing that you do explicitly changes that.
Yeah, because I spent like the last week trying to sort out, like, if I click it in this direction, or like if I mash it faster, does it make a difference? But no, it doesn't seem to.
But I think anyone who played and enjoyed Survive Mola Mola should definitely check this out. And even if you hadn't, if you had heard about that weird game and were curious about it, I think it's still worth checking this out. Or if you just want to see cute Magikarps jump their little hearts out, then you should get this game. And like all mobile games, it's free with a cash shop thing, and it hasn't really felt prohibitive in any way. It seems to be fine.
I haven't had any desire to buy diamonds. I think that's what you can buy, isn't it?
Yeah, well, and there's I was kind of looking around in the cash shop just to see what was there, and they do have I always approve of this in mobile games, although I'm not sure about the price point on this particular one, but games that essentially give you a way to like fully unlock something if you just pay into it once. And so what this game does is, like, when you buy anything on the store, you get the thing you buy, and then you get these tickets, and you trade in the secondary tickets for various other bonuses and potions and things. But if you buy $20 worth of stuff, then the thing you buy with your tickets at that point is I forget what it is, like a diamond extractor. And so it's like every day when you log in, you get X amount of diamonds for free, and basically like permanently unlock all of the stuff that you can do with diamonds. So like $20 is maybe a little bit much for a little mobile game, but I approve of that kind of thing in concept. Like, I like that when games give me a chance to spend some money and unlock something meaningful, and not just a one-time, like, oh, I reset the timer on something once.
Yeah, I saw that item, and I did not spend enough time on the cash shop to figure out how to get the tickets.
Yeah, it took me a minute of like staring at it, like, to try to figure out like what are these tickets and what do they mean. And I think what it essentially is like, in my head, it's the equivalent of like your loyalty points in an MMO or something, right? Like, as you spend money, you unlock other bonus things because you spent the money.
Right.
And like I said, the $20 mark one is basically, now you don't have to care about diamonds anymore.
That might actually be a Nintendo thing. Like, for Pokemon Shuffle on the 3DS, it was a free-to-play game, but once you spent $35 on it, you couldn't spend any more money on it, and they just basically gave you everything. They might mandate that in basically everything that is in Pokemon Go.
Well, I'm definitely a fan of it. I mean, it's a kind of interesting thing because it cuts off your high-end whales, but I can certainly see why that might make some sense for a game that is likely to have a lot of kids playing who, for various reasons, are going to have people that don't want them constantly pouring bits of money at something.
Yeah, I can already kind of see that this is going to be another one of those games that, like, I play for a week or so and then just never touch it again. Because I kind of think the novelty is going to wear off quickly.
Like, I want to see how sticky it is for me. Like Survive Mola Mola was incredibly sticky for me because it was adorable and I liked seeing like every time I unlocked a new food or a new essentially like the equivalent of training, like how that would make my Mola Mola die. And like unlocking different parts of the ocean and seeing it grow big and stuff. Like I played that game way more than I probably should have. But yeah, in the long run it's not going to have the real staying power that like something like Justice Monsters 5 had for me. So it's not a lot of actual active gameplay.
So is this an official Nintendo release?
Yeah, it's Pokemon. Well, it's Pokemon
Company handles their own mobile stuff.
Okay.
It's like Pokemon Company in cahoots with something called Press Select. I don't know if that's just the mobile company or...
Who you might remember from such games as Survive Mola Mola.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no. I never played Survive Mola Mola.
Like, it is the same company.
It would be kind of funny if, like, when they created that game, they were thinking Magikarp.
Mm.
I mean, I know that there's not a lot to Magikarp Jump, but there's still more to it than there was in Survive Mola Mola, and it's much more nicely, like, I don't know, I liked the charm of that first game, but...
Have you made a Gyarados yet?
No.
If you make a Gyarados, you lose. Like,
Really?
They give you an Everstone?
What?
Don't
Okay,
give
so...
you an Everstone so that doesn't happen?
Yes. But if you click on your Magikarp too many times, you'll get a message saying the Everstone has broken. And then that Magikarp will eventually evolve into a Gyarados, and you will lose because this is a game about Magikarp, not Gyarados. And there'll be like a sad little picture of you and your Gyarados walking off into the sunset.
I don't think Gyarados is very good at jumping anyway.
No.
As your Gyarados can walk off into the sunset and then go find Commander Badass and start a webcomic.
But like, I just love the sense of humor of it, and that is very similar to Mola Mola, like just the very strange sense of humor.
Like, there's a lot of special encounters that I don't think I've seen yet, because like I've only seen like maybe 5, 6, but there's got to be way more than that.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. There's a list of all of the, or at least some of the encounters that you can have. I mean, they're blocked off by question marks, right? Until you've unlocked them, but you can see that somewhere in one of the menus. There's a list, so you can see how many there are.
It was worth a download.
Yes, I would definitely recommend it. I've been having lots of fun with it. It's silly. It won't take up much of your time to try it out and see if you enjoy it. And you'll probably know really quickly whether it's for you or not.
I found like just feeding Magikarp food is oddly relaxing.
Yeah, like I spent much more time doing that in Mola Mola because there were less other things to do. But yes, like it's weirdly soothing just tapping around and feeding your Magikarp. And also, I like coming up with names for my inevitable new Magikarp when either murder or retirement happens to my old one.
Yeah, my first retired one was Bassomatic. And my second one was Doug.
I've started like leaving a few random letters in and letting autocorrect make the names of my Magikarp. So it's been interesting.
So do we have anything else that we want to talk about tonight?
Hollow Knight is amazing. You should play it.
So
have you now beat that game?
No.
Okay. Like before the podcast, you thought you were just about to end it. I thought.
No, I said I was at the final boss.
Oh, okay. Vastly different.
Those are different things.
One of those, yeah.
So I do know something worth talking about. That Final Fantasy XV 4-Job Fiesta pre-registration is open, and I still haven't gotten a tweet back.
I did.
If you didn't get one basically immediately, you're not going to get one.
Yeah.
As long as you show up on the site, you're fine.
Yep, no, I'm registered. I don't know what more to say, just to let our listeners know that, pre-registration has started.
Yep, I'm regging normal this year. I know Ashkar made a point that the new mode is probably a lot worse than it sounds.
So which new mode? Like the fifth job mode?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, because that's pretty late in the game to start from scratch.
Yes, it is. It is right in front of one of the hardest boss fights for the Fiesta. That being X-Death World 2.
I mean, it's a funny idea, but I'm not entirely certain I would want to do it.
Dan's doing it. We'll see how it turns out.
For those who don't know at all what we're talking about, they in 4-Job Fiesta, there's all these optional things you can tag on, and this year there's basically a 5th job option that whenever... Okay, so this is spoilers for anyone who's not played Final Fantasy V.
Spoilers for a 25-year-old game incoming.
Yeah, I know. At some point, you're going to lose Galoof from your party and get replaced by his granddaughter, Kryle. And in the 5th job option, you have to throw away whatever job you had with Galoof and get a new one and start from scratch with that new job with Kryle.
This is a trap because it is likely in a normal run that your 4th job is one of your best jobs because it's either Dancer, or if it's Dancer or Dragoon, then maybe, but it could also be Samurai or Chemist. Both of those classes break the game, all by themselves.
Well, one is a toolbox that can solve every problem, and the other one is I'm just going to throw money at my issues. Literally.
Even if you aren't throwing money at your issues, it can block physical attacks. Its special weapon makes it automatically go first and can be used to cast haste. It's good.
Yeah, Samurai is fantastic anyway. And also you can throw money at your problems.
You can absolutely pay to win. But I decided to go with Pure Chaos, which was added in the middle of last year. It's basically Chaos, except you aren't going to get your jobs in nice order, and you might get Freelancer or Mime. So we'll see how it goes.
How does Mime even work in 4-Job Fiesta?
Well, if you get it, you clearly have to go get it.
Well, yeah, but, I mean, are you limited to only the other classes that you have?
It would have to be, because...
I guess.
You get Mime very, very late in the game, and you have to have done some other optional things to get there. So I guess if you get Mime, they're not optional anymore. I don't know. We'll see.
Yep, it'll be interesting.
The problem with Chaos and Pure Chaos is that you are very likely to be freelancing your way all the way to the Water Crystal. Which sounds like a problem, but Freelancer is a lot easier to do that than it is as White Mage or Thief.
Yeah, that's true.
Man, because Freelancer is kind of like having a night.
At least it is basically like having a knight.
Yeah, I mean...
It's like having a knight that can break rods at things. You only get one rod prior to the Water Crystal, but it's
a useful one,
it's in a good
though.
place. Thing is, decide if you hate Magissa or Garula more. I guess this might be helpful for anyone else who finds themselves freelancing their way there. You probably hate Magissa more, because the weapon you get from beating Magissa can paralyze Garula. But in a 4-job Fiesta run, nobody can normally use it.
But freelancers totally can.
Freelancers can.
Well, do we have anything else that we want to talk about?
Sounds
Don't think
like
so.
Nope.
Nope. Yep. So this is going to be a short night. Anyway, hopefully you enjoyed the discussion of random things, including some Stormblood stuff. And we will see you again next week. Good night.
Night.
Have a good one.
Good night.